What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and today I'm back talking about Warhammer 40K, and I am in a great mood because this meme right here symbolizes how every Tau player currently feels. Because a few days ago, the bombshell was dropped that Overwatch is moving to a stratagem only ability. And that was horrendous if you're a Tau player, because that means that your army is going to be getting charged, and that you could only really use your whole for the greater good ability to shoot together as Overwatch once per phase and at a command point. And that's all you could do, leaving all your other units just unprotected, and they were just going to get charged and just chewed alive in the melee phase. However, on June 20th, we got the faction focus for the Tau Empire, and man, did they really hit us good in the first half. Because in the second half, it states that the Tau no longer have to worry about it, because they now can basically fire off for the greater good each time an enemy unit that declares a charge against this unit can fire Overwatch before the charge rule is made. Which is great. Things go back to normal. We can wipe that sweat off our brow and continue to just eat up our enemies during their turn with our tremendous firepower. And not just that, but this does not cost a single command point to do. Boy, oh boy, does that feel good. I could already tell people are getting pissed at this, because I know at first, Tau players were complaining, melee is just going to be too strong, I should just shelf my Tau army. And now it's the opposite. Now they're saying, our melee units aren't even going to be able to get into combat. They're going to be shot to death, or shot so bad that their close combat attacks are basically going to be reduced so much because they won't have the models that are needed to do the damage. It's a battle that you can never win if you're GW, because if you play too closely to the close combat guys, then the shooty guys are going to get mad. If you play more so for a shooty army, then the close combat guys are going to get mad. So it's a lose-lose situation that we just have to kind of deal with. That's not to say that this edition's all about shooting armies, because of the reserve rule. If you check the video that I did yesterday, or if you go down below where I've got the links to the Warhammer community page, they put out an article that states that the reserve rule can literally change the game. I believe if you wait till the third turn, you could bring in your reserves and they could get into close combat if the enemy is close enough to the table edge. No rolling for Overwatch, you're literally just in close combat. So, if you're playing against a Tau player and they make the mistake of castling next to a table edge, you potentially can charge their entire army with your units that are in reserves. That's something really important that people need to know, because I'm pretty sure that's going to come up a lot, especially in tournaments. So if you are going to castle, if you are going to make that fire and gun line, make it in the middle of your deployment zone, away from areas where the enemy can come out from reserves and just charge you directly, because that will be a death wish for the Tau. So that's just one way to punish people who aren't too familiar with the rules, or who just are castling up. I mean, yeah, it does cost a command point based on the power level of the unit in reserves, and yeah, you don't get to use them till, at least turn 2, but potentially that could tip the scales in your favor if you play your cards right. They've also showcased the new core stratagem, Desperate Breakout, for 2 command points. So what this means is that you use this stratagem in your movement phase. You select one unit from your army that has not been selected to move this phase, and which is in engagement range with at least one enemy unit. Basically, you pick a unit that's in close combat. Then you roll a d6 for each model within that unit, and for each roll of one model in that unit is destroyed. Assuming that unit was not completely wiped out, it can now attempt to fall back, and when doing so, the models can move across enemy models as if they weren't there. So basically, if you're trying to fall back from close combat, you pay 2 command points, you roll d6s for the number of models in there, and you lose however many ones you roll. So potentially, you could try to get out of close combat, and you could kill yourself completely just by rolling a massive amount of ones. So this 2 command point can utterly backfire and be game breaking for you. Or you can pass all your saves and you'll be able to fall back away from the enemy. However, if you have models that are still within the engagement range, then they are destroyed. So you gotta make sure that your whole unit can move far away without still being in close combat, because then those guys are dead. Now, assuming that the unit isn't destroyed, that unit cannot do anything else that turn. So you can't use psychic powers, you can't shoot, charge, anything like that. So on paper this doesn't sound so good, because it's like, well, I'm in close combat, shouldn't I at least, go down fighting? No. Especially if you're Tau. Definitely use Desperate Breakout if you're stuck in, because the fly keyword no longer means that you can just fly out of combat. So if your battle suits get tied up, definitely use this 2 command point stratagem to hopefully get your guys out of range and allow the rest of your army to shoot at the enemy that they thought they were safe in combat. Not anymore. So yeah, a lot of things have been changing for the Tau. For example, the fly keyword was a huge one. So you gotta be careful now, because if you get charged, you can't just pull back right away. The stratagem for Overwatch, we thought that was the death blow for the Tau, but it turns out it doesn't affect us anymore. However, that doesn't mean that you can just play without worrying about getting assaulted, because the For the Greater Good ability still affects you. Like, let's say you have 3 units of fire warriors and 1 unit's getting charged. You could fire with all 3 units if they're within 6 inches, but now they themselves cannot fire again if they were going to get charged by another unit. So you still got to think strategically about this. Now, I have no idea how I missed this, but there's a whole new, rules change that I just overlooked, I guess. So here's what it says. It says if an attack is made with a weapon that has an ability that says it automatically hits the target, no hit roll is made. That attack simply scores 1 hit on the target. An unmodified roll of 6 always hits, and an unmodified roll of 1 always fails. A hit roll can never be modified by more than -1 or +1. That's big. This means that if all the cumulative modifiers to the hit roll have been calculated and the modifier would be like a -2 or worse, it's changed to a -1. Same thing if it's a cumulative modifier to a hit roll being +2 or better, then it's changed to a +1. So what that really means is that no longer can you make a Space Marine, or not, I guess not a Space Marine wouldn't really count, because if you give a Space Marine a +1 to hit, they're hitting on 2s anyway. So like the Tau, for example, they hit on 4s normally. With Marker Light support, they get hit on 3s. Now that's the best they can do. There's no real point on trying to beef them up to hit on 2s, because you can't anymore. It sucks because depending on the stratagems you use, the marker lights available, with the Tau army, you can potentially have them all hitting on 2s if you play your cards right. Not anymore. Now the best they can do is hit like a Space Marine, which kind of sucks. But on the other hand, it's good because now if Chaos, or you're playing against another Tau player and they use the Neuroweb system jammer and stuff like that, now you won't be hitting on 6s or 5s or anything like that. Now the worst you can do is go from hitting on a 4 to hitting on a 5, so it's not as detrimental, but at the same time, it's the same for your opponent. I don't know how I feel about this. I've always liked, doing all these crazy shenanigans to hit on a 2+, because obviously, you're going to do more damage this way. I mean, I guess it makes things simpler, You don't have to keep thinking about like, okay, so this army's at this unit can't do that. I don't know. It's interesting. I really want to get a game down in ninth edition to see just how big these rule changes impact the game. Because supposedly points are going up, games are going to be going by a lot quicker, so maybe Warhammer 40K won't take a whole afternoon to finish playing, and it'll be just a lot more carnage and mayhem happening right off the bat instead of waiting till like turn 3 or 4 for like things to finally start kicking off. Which is interesting because when our play group usually plays 40K, I feel like turn 1 and turn 2 are the crazy turns, and like usually you can tell who's gonna win by the end of turn 2. But still, I don't know, ninth edition seems to be shaping up into something pretty crazy. At first I thought it was just 8.5 edition, but no, I think they're changing enough to actually impact how the game plays. And this is just scratching the surface. Like, they haven't released a rule book yet, so we don't know the entirety of the rule set and how that's going to shape things to come. So again, there are a bunch of rules showcased in the faction focus for the Tau Empire, so all of that will be linked down below so you guys can check it out. And yeah, let me know what you're most excited for. Let me know if you're going to be playing 9th edition or any other edition previous and why. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more things Warhammer 40k. And as always, I was your host, the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.